Yo, what's up, Logan?
What's up?
This is Tailgate Talk, everybody. My name's Brant Oliver,
I'm Logan Harris.
and this is a podcast where we talk about sports, life, and just anything that you want to talk about.
His three-pointer is intercepted at the goal line. Always Williamson is in the lane. Look out.
So last night we had the University of Virginia versus Texas Tech basketball game final of the NCAA March Madness. It was a great game, Logan. I mean, what did you think of it?
That was honestly better than I even expected. Ending of overtime was a little anticlimactic, but the ending of regulation was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. Started off pretty slow, honestly. Like I was watching that, so I'm a betting man. I'm a gambling man, and my dad was telling me, he's like, "Oh, bet the over," because I saw the line ended up at 119, which is a pretty low scoring game. That's only like 60 points from each team. But both those teams are
Yeah.
extremely good at defense. I mean, Texas Tech is probably the best defensive team in the whole country. Virginia, I mean, they held everybody that they played to a season low in points. So I mean, started off really slow, but once it got to the second half, dude, those three started falling, and Virginia, they they ended the second half with the three. They ended the first half with the three, and then I think that was the turning point of the offense. I think that's what really sparked everybody. And I mean, it was a great job by Texas Tech.
I think what hurt Texas Tech was like they seemed to start off both halves very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the beginning of the first half, Virginia had like an 11-3 run within like the first 5 minutes or something like that, and it seemed like Texas Tech was missing quite a bit of 3-pointers. So that seemed to hurt them as well. So if they were able to like knock down some more of those threes, I could have seen Texas Tech winning this game.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you because like that's what I saw. I mean, I thought Texas Tech could have easily just as easily won that game as Virginia did. I mean, the plays were there for Texas Tech to make. And I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, the refs were they weren't great, but they weren't bad. I mean, I'm not going to say that the refs were bad and the refs are the reason why Texas Tech lost or anything like that. But Virginia played great, but just Texas Tech just didn't come up with the plays. I mean, Culver, their best player, he was like 0 for 6 or something, or 0 for 7 at the first half. It was like, dude, come on. Like, I mean,
you want to know what else is crazy?
What?
I think it was either overtime. I think it was overtime, but Virginia had an immense amount of more free throws than Texas Tech. Weren't they like 12 for 12? And Texas had like 0 attempts?
Well, and that's the thing is that, Texas Tech kind of lives at the free throw line. Like, I mean, the whole season, if you watched them.
I mean, they had David Moretti. He's the second best free throw shooter in the whole NCAA.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, Culver, that dude, he's literally like just attack. Like, I mean, every time he got the ball, whether it was in transition or even in a half-court set, he was just looking to get to the basket. I mean, yeah, he would pull up and shoot threes sometimes, but almost every time he was looking to get to the basket, and the calls just weren't there, And, I mean, that's hard, because, I mean, you want to blame the refs, but at the same time, you look at the Virginia defense, and they really didn't foul. I mean, like, there was contact, but I mean, they didn't really foul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
this didn't seem like much of a fouling game. Yeah. Like I didn't see a whole lot of crazy fouls.
Yeah, Virginia's center Diakite. I mean, he was huge. He was big time for them. Like he's one of the more underrated players on that whole team. Like he hit that shot against Purdue, to force overtime, and he played amazing defense the whole tournament. Like the dude's a rebounding machine. He's a freaking defensive specialist. And I mean, I just wanted to give credit to him because, without him, I don't think that Texas Tech I mean, I do think that Texas Tech wins that game.
Honestly, I just feel like what came down to it was the 3-pointers and the free throws, because Virginia was on it with the 3-pointers. I mean, Jerome, he prevented a halftime tie with a 3-pointer with like less than a second left or something like that, and just all the free throws they were able to get in overtime really helped them take the lead.
Yep. And isn't it just crazy how Virginia just like, I mean, if you go back literally, 400 days ago, Virginia lost to a 16 seed. First time that's ever happened that a number 1 seed has lost to a 16 seed. And, they didn't just lose by like 10 points. They lost by freaking 20 points. Like, they got smacked.
That's kind of why I wasn't expecting Virginia to win really this year. I mean, I had them going to the Final Four, but that's just because of the matchups they had. It seemed like they could just win all the matchups they had up until the Final Four.
Right. And that was another thing, is that, neither of these teams had to play Duke. You know what I mean? Like, neither of these teams had to play Kentucky. Neither of these teams had to play North Carolina. Like, I feel like both these teams kind of got lucky with the way that their bracket kind of played out. And
I would definitely agree.
I mean, Virginia, don't get me wrong though, Virginia and Texas Tech are both great teams. I mean, they deserve to be in the championship, but I mean, if they would have played Duke in the second round or third round, that might have been like, let's say Virginia, goes to the Final Four and they end up having to play Duke instead of whoever they played. Like, that could have been easily, the Duke could have easily won that game, But I mean, sometimes that's just the way the bracket plays out. And another thing that I wanted to say about Texas Tech is that, all these Texas Tech fans are upset about, the refs played us, all this stuff. Like, nah, stop. Like, you guys are fine. You are only losing, a couple of players. I don't think that Culver's gonna leave. I mean, he should leave, but I don't think he is. And I mean, you guys are going to be great for, the next 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? Chris Beard is a phenomenal head coach. You guys are going to be fine. And the thing about Virginia is that last year Virginia lost, and then now look at where they are. You know what I mean? Like, just because you lose, that don't hang your head. You can always come back. And I mean, Virginia is literally the perfect example of that, because they lost to a 16 seed. Nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever lost to a 16 seed before.
Yeah.
And then they come back and win the championship the next year. It's just crazy stuff,
That's a crazy comeback story, honestly. There's definitely never been a first seed. Wait, yeah, Virginia was a first seed last year as well, but so no one's ever been a first seed, lost to a 16 seed, and then the next season win the championship. That's just a crazy comeback story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, honestly, it was like, that was just the greatest way to end this tournament, I feel like, and this tournament was a really good tournament. Yeah. I mean, I watched probably 30 games, and all of them were really good games. You know what I mean? I don't really remember watching a game and being like, this one sucks. Like, they're all really good. I mean, Purdue, the Virginia Purdue game, that was crazy, bro. Like, oh my goodness. And it's like poetic justice. You know what I mean? Everybody wanted to see Zion. Everybody wanted to see, Duke versus North Carolina or Duke versus Kentucky. They want to see the blue bloods, right?
Yeah.
But it ended up being Virginia versus Texas Tech, 2 schools that have never even won a national championship, So I kind of feel like that's poetic justice in a way, because it's like we're all looking for something, but, the basketball gods just give us this great final game, send it into overtime, and it's just wonderful. It ends up being a great end to the tournament.
Yeah, it was cool to see. The only reason I wish it would have been Duke Kentucky was because those are the 2 teams I had going to the championship, and I think I was just a few points behind first place, and the guys I was competing against. So I think if Duke and Kentucky went, I think I would have won $40.
Oh, wow.
But whatever.
Yeah, see, I
Yeah.
just decided to not even do the brackets this year because I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to I'm not going to get any of these games right, you know? And my girlfriend actually got more games right in the first round than I did. So that just shows you how much I know about the first round of the tournament.
Honestly, I feel like even though you know like a ton of crap about it, I feel like most of it is about luck.
Oh, yeah.
Because
totally.
Who would ever predict like Virginia losing to a 16 seed? Like,
oh, yeah. Well, I mean, nobody
the only
could predict
people
that.
the only people that probably picked that 16 seed were probably just either messing around or they were a fan of that school.
Exactly. Or they like went to that school or something and
yeah.
So, I mean, but that's the thing, like, you know, that was the first time that had ever happened. Like, their 16 seeds were 0 and 126 or something like that before then. So, I mean, there's a less than 1% chance that happens, you know, but it's
Definitely.
just insane. So let's talk about the NBA, bro. What's up with the East?
Yeah.
I mean, so the East is pretty much already set up. There's a couple games going on tonight. The Pistons, Hornets, and Heat are all fighting for that last playoff spot in the East, but the Pistons kind of control their own destiny because they're a game above. So if they get a win tonight, they'll secure that 8th position. But if they lose, then the Hornets or the Heat can come in and swoop that spot. So
if who lose? Sorry,
the Pistons. If the Pistons lose tonight, then the Hornets or the Heat could possibly come up and swoop that.
So what happens if the Pistons lose and both the Heat and the Hornets win?
I think the Hornets own the tiebreaker. So right now, the way that it shakes out,
the Hornets are crushing the Cavs right now.
Okay, the Hornets are crushing the Cavs right now.
And there's 6.5 minutes left.
Jeez, yeah. So, right now it would be. I think the Heat are playing right now as well. I don't know the score for that one.
Yeah,
but
it's halftime, 62-42. Heat.
Oh, geez, the Heat are killing.
Yeah.
So yeah, both those teams, they really want to get into the playoffs, dude. Wouldn't it?
The Grizzlies and Pistons game is close right now. There's 9 minutes left, and the Grizzlies are up 79-74.
Yeah. So if you're a Heat fan like yourself,
it's literally still all up in the air right now.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a Heat fan, you're definitely pulling for the Grizzlies right now. So all right, let's do some predictions for the playoffs in the NBA. So we got now we got the 1 versus the 8 seed, Bucks versus Pistons. Who you got?
I got Bucks. No, it's just Bucks are too good this year.
Okay, so we'll go Raptors 2nd seed versus right now the Magic are the 7th seed. So who you got in that one?
I got Raptors.
I agree. 3rd seed 76ers versus the 6th seed Nets, Brooklyn Nets. Who you got in that one?
I'm gonna throw a curveball and go with the Nets.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, so then we got the 4th seeded Celtics versus the 5th seeded Pacers.
I'll go with Celtics on that one.
Okay, so then let's move on to our second round. So Logan's second round, we got Bucks versus Celtics. Who you got in that one?
I'll take the Bucks.
Bucks, okay. Raptors versus Nets. Who you got in that one?
I'll take Raptors.
Alrighty. So then the Eastern Conference Finals comes down to the Raptors versus the Bucks, the 1 versus the 2. Giannis versus Kawhi.
Mm-hmm.
Who you got in that one?
I would really like the Bucks to win, just because you never really see them in the finals. But I think I'm gonna go with Raptors on this one.
Yeah, that'd be a cool story. I'm a Celtics fan, and I mean, obviously, I would root for the Celtics all day. You know what I mean? Like I'm pulling for the Celtics to go to the finals, but I just don't see that happening this year. The Bucks are so good, and it took us 7 games last year to beat the Bucks, and we're gonna end up playing Bucks in the second round. So I don't know how we're gonna pull that off, but same thing with the Raptors, dude. I mean, the Raptors, they're the same as last year, except they just traded DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. Like, what? Like, dude, come on. Like, that you know they're going to be better. And LeBron's out of the East, so LeBron can't just, dominate them. So, I mean,
seriously,
I don't know. I don't know how the Celtics are going to get there, but I'm a wishful Celtics fan. So, all right, let's shake out the West. So the West, actually all 8 playoff teams are already solidified in the West, but there can be a little bit of moving these last 2 days of the season. So right now, the 8th spot Clippers, the 7th spot Spurs, and the 6th spot Thunder, they're all tied. And they all play 2 games, tonight and tomorrow. So if all those teams win, if all those teams win both their games, it will end up Thunder 6 seed, Spurs 7 seed, Clippers 8 seed. Okay? So right now we got the number 1 seeded Warriors, obviously, versus the 8 seeded Clippers. Who you got in that matchup, Logan?
I gotta go with the Warriors.
Yeah, I just think the Warriors are way too good, honestly. I mean, I don't see them losing at all. Nuggets versus the Spurs. Who you got in that one?
Honestly, I haven't really been watching either team this year, so I wouldn't know. I don't like the Spurs, so I'm going to go with the Nuggets.
Gotcha. Okay, so then we got 3-seeded Rockets versus the 6-seeded Thunder. Now, this is hard for me because, in my opinion, the Thunder and the Rockets are the 2 teams that can knock off the Warriors. And they play each other in the first round if this is how it all shakes out. So that's tough for me because, I mean, I almost want to see the Thunder slide to the 7th spot so that they can play the Nuggets in the first round.
And play the Nuggets.
Exactly. But, I really hope that we don't see Rockets versus Thunder in the first round because then that just, that's pretty much a given that the Warriors are going to go to the finals. But who you got in that one? Rockets, Thunder.
Honestly, I feel like this one's going to be really close. I feel like this one could go to Game 7. But I'm going to have to go with Rockets.
Yeah, I just think James Harden's too good
Rockets
this year.
in 7.
I agree with that. I think it could go easily 6 or 7 games. I mean, Paul George is going to have to play some phenomenal defense on James Harden. Russell Westbrook's going to have to average a triple-double. But, I mean, crazier things have happened,
Yeah.
So now we got the 4th-seeded Trailblazers versus the 5th-seeded Jazz. Who you got in that one?
I like the Jazz.
I like the Jazz too. See the Trailblazers, and I love Damian Lillard, dude. I really do. I think he's one of the most underrated players in today's game. I mean, he is a straight killer. But when it comes to the playoffs, dude, he just can't win. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That ever since they won against the Rockets when he hit that, series winning shot, right? Ever since then, he hasn't won a playoff series. And he's only won 2 games since then. And he's played in 3 playoff series. He's been swept twice. So it's I mean, when you get swept by a team like the New Orleans Pelicans, I mean, that is just, that's
sad.
Not, I don't want to say sad, but I mean, it kind of is because in a sense, it's come on. They didn't even have DeMarcus Cousins at that point. It was only Anthony Davis and then Drew Holiday. Now, granted, Drew Holiday and Rajon Rondo had the freaking series of a lifetime, but still, I mean, you have Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and you were the 3-seeded Blazers, and you get swept by a 6 seed. That's just, come on. That's just not good. Okay, so breaking news, Logan. We got some breaking news on our podcast. Magic Johnson steps down as Lakers president of basketball operations.
I just got that.
That is crazy. So, surrounding all these rumors of LeBron, trying to get these kids traded out of there, trying to get Anthony Davis to come over, all these, rumors about Luke Walton not being the head coach next year. And everybody's saying, oh, Luke's going to be out. Oh, these guys are going to be out. Kuzma's gone. But in reality, Magic's the first one to leave. What are your thoughts about that?
Honestly, I'm not even sure. Like, I don't know the underlying behind the scenes of the Lakers, so I have no clue why he's even stepping down.
Let me give you some 2 cents right here. Okay, I have no idea. I'm a Celtics fan, but this is just what I think. Okay, so I think that Luke Walton is not the problem. I think Magic knows LeBron is not necessarily the problem, but it wasn't the greatest decision for the franchise to sign LeBron. I think that's what Magic realized. And I think he realized that there's no winning. There's no winning whatsoever in the situation that he's in. So instead of publicly losing, he's just going to step down. You know what I mean? So that he can't take a loss, you know, in a sense. But what's
so it's not on my hands.
Exactly. You know, and I think he realized that, you know, just because you have LeBron James doesn't mean you're going to get all these good players. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Davis, yeah, you might get Anthony Davis. That's true. But I don't think you're going to get Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant or, you know, any of these other guys that would actually, you know, win you a championship. And
I got one question.
What's up?
How was LeBron able to make the Cavs so good when he was the only like the pretty much great player on their team, but he wasn't able to do anything with the Lakers?
Well, you know, that's a really good question. See, and it's tough because there's a lot of factors, you know, and these are things that people don't really take into consideration. So, okay, let me break it down for you. So, 80% of all NBA teams are in the Midwest to East Coast, right? Like think about it. There's only a couple teams on the West Coast where we live in California. There's only a couple teams, right? So the Lakers, you know, the Trailblazers are in Oregon, the you know, Sacramento Kings, the Golden State Warriors, and that's it, right? And then, you know,
I think
the next closest team is the Phoenix Suns, you know what I mean? Or the Utah Jazz. Mm-hmm. So it's like all these teams are all in the East Coast, you know? So travel actually plays a huge part in this because it's like, okay, if you're taking a flight from Cleveland to Philadelphia, that's like a 3-hour flight, you know what I mean? Whereas if you're taking a flight from LA to Philadelphia, that's like an 8-hour flight. You know, like that, just that, like 5 hours of added flight time, that could really put some wear and tear on your body because you're not getting full recovery. Now that's just one factor that I've heard and I've read, you know, and another factor is that LeBron, he got hurt for the first time in his career. You know, he actually missed legitimate games due to injury for the first time in his career. And I think that really, that kind of scared him in a sense because it's like, you know, we all saw what happened to Kobe. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, when Kobe got injured that first time, he tried to come back so fast, and then he got injured again, and he was never the same. So LeBron, I mean, 16th season, same shit happened to Kobe in the 16th season. So it's like LeBron is probably thinking, oh man, I actually have to take my time with this. You know what I mean? Like I can't just come back after 2 weeks. I got to take my time. So him missing all those games, old. Exactly, he is getting old. Father time catching up. You know, him missing all those games, forcing those young guys to, you know, come up and just learn, like by, you know, being thrown into the fire. Like that's not the best way to win. You know what I mean? And you know, last year LeBron was with the Cavs. I mean, the East. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. The East is really worse than the West. I mean. The thing is like the competition in the West is just so top heavy that and when you're in the West, you play those teams, especially the Lakers, because the Lakers are in the Warriors division. So they play the Lakers, or the Lakers play the Warriors, the Clippers, the Kings. They play all these good teams, these solid teams, and it's like when you're in the Cavs division, you're playing like, you know, Brooklyn. Or freaking, you know, Orlando, you know, I mean, not to knock on Brooklyn or Orlando, but they ain't the Golden State Warriors, you know? Like,
Seriously.
and I mean, that's just, there's just so many factors that I think that, just changing scenery. And yeah, he might have had a better team this year, but the competition that he played was tougher. So, and I mean, he didn't play the whole season. So that's just one, tough thing about LeBron. But anyway, so yeah, that's crazy about the Lakers. Magic Johnson stepping down, man. Oh man, I really want to see what they're going to do next. Okay, so now let's roll into the second round of this Western Conference playoffs. So we got the Warriors versus the Jazz coming up right here. Warriors versus Jazz, 1 seed versus the 5. Who you got winning that one?
Dang, I'd love to see. Honestly, I'm like, the Jazz aren't my team, but I really love watching them. I wish they could win, but the Warriors are just too tough to beat.
I'll agree with you on that one. I mean, the Jazz are crazy because I think that they're very, very deadly if they execute properly, right? So Joe Ingles, okay, he is extremely underrated. Extremely underrated. Like, I guarantee you nobody, like 80% of the people that, you were walking up on the street and you would be like, hey, you know who Joe Ingles is? They'd be like, who? Is that like a baker or something? Like down the street? Like, nah. Like nobody knows who Joe Ingles is. This dude is a straight baller, okay? Same thing with Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is the Stifle Tower. Like this dude's a freaking 7'2" giant that just blocks everybody's shot. So I would love to see the Jazz win.
Is he really 7'2"?
Yeah, dude, he's tall, super tall.
That's insane.
I'd love to see the Jazz win, but I agree that the Warriors are just too much, dude. They have too much firepower. So now we got 2 versus the 3, Nuggets versus the Rockets. Who you got in that one?
Nuggets versus the wow, that's actually a tough one. I think I want to go with Rockets just merely because of experience. The Rockets have been in the playoffs more than the Nuggets, so I just think they have the upper hand on experience. Would be cool to see the Nuggets just to see someone new, but I'm gonna go with the Rockets.
Okay, yeah, I mean I agree with you. I personally like I said before, I think that the Rockets and the Thunder are the only 2 teams that can knock the Warriors off. Now the Nuggets are going to be a very tough matchup for the Rockets because the Nuggets, unlike the Rockets, are a great team. The Rockets have James Harden, and I mean their team is pretty much James Harden, whereas the Nuggets, they have a whole myriad of players. They got, I mean, when you have Isaiah Thomas coming off the bench, that's a pretty good team. They're deep. You know what I mean? And I just think that, Jamal Murray is coming into his zone. I mean, Nikola Jokic, the Joker, he's a beast. He's a 7-foot center that can pass the ball like nobody's business. And I mean, I can't agree with you more. I think the Rockets are going to win that one though. Okay, so then we got the Western Conference Finals. We got Warriors versus Rockets. Same thing as last year. Who you got in that one?
Man, it's like I want every team to beat the Warriors, but it's just so hard to pick against them.
I'm there with you.
I feel like I'll say Warriors in 6.
Okay, just to be, argumentative person, I'm going to take the Rockets in this one. I think the Rockets are finally going to pull it off. They're not going to go 0 for 17 from 3. They're gonna beat the Warriors.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I would too. I would love to see it. Alrighty, so we got our finals matchup. So your finals matchup is going to be Warriors versus Bucks. Warriors versus Raptors. I'm sorry. And my finals matchup is going to be Rockets versus Celtics, just because I'm going to be, Mr. Devil's advocate. Okay, so who do you think is going to win? Warriors versus Raptors? Go.
I'm just gonna go with Warriors. It's hard seeing any of these teams beat them, honestly, except if the Bucks can pull through and beat the Raptors. I could see that being a much more closer matchup. But I did pick the Raptors to beat the Bucks, but I can't. I could see the Bucks beating the Warriors more than I can see the Raptors.
Yep.
But your matchup would definitely be much more interesting.
Intriguing
to watch.
Yeah. See, mine is very, very much less likely than yours.
Yeah.
Yours is the more likely matchup. Mine, I feel like just because I really do think that the Rockets could beat the Warriors, but it's going to be tough, dude. They're going to have to play lights out for 7 games, dude. It's going to take 7 games to beat the Warriors. People don't realize, really, you have to go in and beat these dudes 4 times. 4 times
Yeah,
you have to
it's a
win
lot.
to win a series. That, beating somebody twice is hard enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Beating somebody 4 times in a 7-game series, that is tough. So, I got Rockets versus Celtics. I'm a Celtics fan. I'm going to take the Celtics. I think Kyrie is going to have 35 a game. He's going to go off. He's staying with us. We're keeping him. We're going to re-sign him to a max deal. It's all going to be fine and dandy, and we're getting banner 18 this year, Logan. Book it. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, let's move on to some NFL. So we got the draft coming up. It's April. We got the draft in 2.5 weeks?
Yeah.
Man, time is
Before
flying
we talk
by.
about the draft, can we talk about Antonio Brown, please?
Oh my God! What, dude? That fool is just ridiculous. What is up with this dude? Obviously you saw the tweets, and I follow Juju on Twitter. I follow Antonio Brown on Twitter, and what?
On April
that just came
7th,
out of the blue. What?
At 9:42 a.m., he posts, "Keep your emotions off the internet." This is before the thing he said about Juju. And literally, let's see, 2 hours later, at 11:10 a.m., this, not even Juju, this Steelers fan page or whatever, posts a picture of 2018 Steelers MVP Juju Smith-Schuster, and Antonio commented on that, and he put emotion. Boy fumbled the whole postseason in the biggest game of year. Everyone went blind to busy making guys famous. Not enough reality these days. By the way, check the list. This is not the Antonio Brown from even last year. He's I don't know what's gone through his head since the last regular season game of last year, but he's just been off the rails, and it's been pretty annoying, honestly. I used to have so much respect for this guy. When Le'Veon Bell was off doing his thing, not sitting out and was doing the whole sit out for the whole year thing. I was throwing my respect at Antonio Brown because he was working. He was showing up to all practices, all games, and he got this big contract from us. It was I don't remember, 5-year, $84 million, something like that. And now I don't even know what happened, but he didn't play the last regular season game, and ever since that, it's just been all off the rails since then.
Yep. And it's sad because Antonio Brown, I genuinely think he's a good dude. You know what I mean? He seems like a good dude. He acts like one. He works really hard.
Yeah.
He's one of the hardest working guys in the whole NFL. And it just shows, where he came from. He was an undrafted wide receiver out of Central Michigan, and now he's all pro, multiple Pro Bowler, making millions of dollars a year, always catching touchdowns. And it was really off guard. It caught me off guard that he
Yeah.
would say something like that, especially about Juju.
Yeah, and Juju showed nothing
because
but respect for him.
exactly
Juju has literally
why,
never thrown shade at him ever. He's always looked up to him. He's always like asked advice for him, always trying to get better, get to his level. And then Antonio just does this to him.
And that's the thing is like, you know, Juju is like, I mean, did you see Juju's response to that? Like Juju was totally mature.
Yeah, I did. I don't remember the exact words, but I did see his response.
He said something along the lines of, you know, I've shown nothing but respect to this guy ever since I came into the league, and he does this, you know. And I mean, he wasn't bashing Antonio Brown or anything like that. He was just saying like, that's kind of out of pocket.
Yeah,
you know what
seriously.
I mean? Like it's just, I mean,
I would understand.
And then
I would understand if Juju was like, oh yeah, I was definitely better than Antonio Brown last year. But Juju has literally said nothing. It was a fan that said Juju is the MVP, and Antonio Brown claps back with that. Like what? How immature do you have to be to like go to a fan page and mouth off at them and talk shade about one of your former teammates when when Juju wasn't even involved with it?
Yep. And the saddest part of all this is that Antonio Brown, it's like, okay, this is almost like Antonio Brown is like he broke up with his ex and he's bitter, right? You know, and it's like that's almost what it seems like to me. And it's like, you know, oh, he's in a better situation. He's like he's like trying to play it off like, oh yeah, you know, I'm in Oakland now and I got all my new money, you know, call me Mr. Big Chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's in reality, he's still like he's still burnt about the whole thing about the Steelers, you know? And it's like, dude, just move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at this point, you know, you're in Oakland now. Just move on.
Yeah.
You know? And I just thought it was funny how he said, you know, don't let your emotions or keep your emotions off the internet or whatever. And then he tweets later. His next tweet is like emotion.
Yeah.
He literally starts the tweet with emotion. Yeah. Like, come on, bro. Oh,
it's literally, I don't know.
But yeah. He's crazy. I mean, that just shows you what money will do to you.
Yeah.
You know, money will inflate your ego so much to the point where it's like even your closest dudes that you know become enemies, you know, when they get more than you. You know what I mean? And it's not even that Juju got more than him. It's just Juju was more respected at that time.
Yeah.
Just for the year. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if Antonio Brown like really cares about that team MVP, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, he kind of makes it seem like he does.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm just curious if Derek Carr is going to try to humble him up or just talk to him, or I don't even know. Because Derek's probably one of the most humble guys in the NFL, so hopefully he can
totally
put some sense into AB.
Well, and that's another thing is I mean, I want to know Derek's reaction to this because, I mean, shoot, we both know Darren, you know, and just judging from being around Darren, I mean, I'm sure Derek is a lot like Darren.
For those of you that don't know, Darren is Derek Carr's middle brother, and he was our football coach in high school. So we're around the Carr family a lot.
Yes, exactly. And, I mean, Darren would totally, you know, I mean, if Darren were Derek, he would totally go up to Antonio Brown and, you know, confront him about this. Now, I don't know what Derek, you know, is going to do or anything like that, but I just think that, I mean, and this is the best situation for Antonio Brown to be in right now, you know, because Derek is the perfect person for Antonio Brown to help him, you know, and it's tough because, I mean, you don't want to tell Antonio Brown, like, hey, bro, you're out of line here. You know what I mean? Like, but in reality, he's not necessarily out of line. it's like he's telling the truth. Like that is what his emotions are.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's no reason for him to say that
Yeah.
because you've moved on already. You know what I mean? You're on the Raiders now. You're past the Steelers. Just forget about it. Move
Even
on.
if you do think that, like,
But
you don't need to be tweeting it out. It's just showing like you're letting the haters get to you.
Yeah, and that's I mean, shoot, we don't know what it's like to have millions of people follow you on Twitter, you know what I mean? And I'm sure, at some point it is going to get to you. But, there you just got to know that comes with the territory.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like Antonio Brown has got to realize like, hey, dude, I have millions of kids looking up to me every single day. Should I be saying, oh, this dude fumbled the game away, fumbled our whole entire postseason away. You know what I mean? He pretty much just ruined the season for us. That's not something that a role model would do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's definitely what Antonio Brown is. He is a role model for all these kids, so.
Do you want to
let's get into the draft.
Talk about the Jets' new uniforms? Because I just saw them yesterday. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so
I heard people were giving a lot of crap for them.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, I'm a Jets fan. Logan is a Steelers fan, and I mean, I like the Jets' new uniforms. They were way overhyped, dude. Like literally, like 3 months ago, they came out with this freaking bit that was like, "Oh, Jets new unis, all this stuff." And I have a couple of Jets uniforms. A green and a white one. And I mean, I personally love the black ones that they have. The black ones are dope. But I mean, the white and the green, it kind of just looks the same, just like with a more modern twist.
I did that they tried to go less basic because that's kind of what their uniforms have been. So, I mean,
totally.
I would make some fixes to it, but overall, I'm not appalled by them.
Yeah, some people were freaking hating, just saying like, "Oh, those are disgusting, those are terrible," all this stuff, and I'm just like, dude, they're jerseys. Like, what do you mean they're disgusting? They're not bad. I don't know, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna get a Le'Veon Bell one. So,
of course you will. Yeah, you want mine?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
it's a Steelers one, but it's
seriously.
Bell. Oh,
I'll just color it.
By the way, literally last December, I got a Color Rush Antonio Brown jersey off AliExpress. That just shows how quick he's changed as a person. Because if Antonio Brown was like this back in December, I definitely wouldn't have gotten one of his jerseys.
Exactly.
Luckily, it was off AliExpress. So it was only like $25, but still.
Yeah, AliExpress, that's the best way to do it. Okay, so let's get into the NFL draft then.
Yeah.
So let's straight away. Do you think Kyler Murray is going to be the number 1 overall pick?
Honestly, yeah. Like I don't think the Cardinals are getting anywhere with Josh Rosen, so I think they're gonna try to go another route and pick Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean it's sad, I just don't know what the hell the Cardinals are doing, dude. I mean, what sense does it make to take a guy in the top 10 like last year? You move up draft picks. Not only do you take a quarterback, but you move up to get that quarterback. And you take him, and then you have a first-year head coach, and 3 weeks into the season, you fire your offensive coordinator that's also a first-year guy, and then your quarterback doesn't even get to play with his new toys because they're all hurt.
Yeah.
And then your coach, you fire him at the end of the season, and it's like, what? Dude, you literally just gave your quarterback that you just drafted like 10 weeks of solid game reps. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, let's move on. Like, dude, that's not how you develop a football team.
Those are teams that always fail. They try things for 1 year and then they just move on because it didn't work. That's why the Browns were always awful because they kept hiring coach after coach after coach, and they never gave them like more than a year chance. And
Yep.
I think the Cardinals honestly need to go and invest in their offensive line because I feel like that's why Josh Rosen was so horrible last year because he literally had to like snap it and throw it because he was always just getting rushed. Offensive line was terrible, but I don't think the Cardinals want to go that route. I think they're just going to try to get Kyler Murray and hope he does some magic.
Yep. And I actually went to a Cardinals game last year. I went to the Cardinals 49ers game in San Francisco. And
that's funny. I
dude,
went
Josh
to a
Rosen,
Cardinals and Niners game, but it was in here in
Arizona. That's funny. But I watched that game, and it must have been Josh Rosen's best game of his career because from what I saw, I mean, dude, this fool probably third play of the game, I think he hits Christian Kirk over the middle, dude, 40-yard bomb, like for a touchdown, and I was like, dude, literally, this dude just freaking wound up, threw it like Aaron Rodgers style, just freaking cannon, you know what I mean? And I was like, how are the Cardinals so bad when they have a quarterback like this? Then I kept watching, and this fool only had 2 seconds to throw the ball every single time. So, I mean, at some point you gotta look at it and you gotta say, okay, this is not our quarterback's fault. This is our offensive line's fault. You know what I mean? And it's like if your quarterback can make the throws, but he's just not getting time, why are you blaming that on your quarterback?
Yeah.
That's obviously not his fault. You know what I mean? And I like your comparison to the Browns is a great one because this is literally what the Browns did for 15 plus years. You know, they went from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback, you know, just kept switching coaches, and they just never developed an offensive line. They drafted freaking Joe Thomas, you know, the best offensive tackle ever probably. And then they were like, oh, well, we have a good offensive line because we have Joe Thomas. But no, that you got to invest in all your positions. You got to get wide receivers. You got to get running backs. You got to get tight ends. It's like, you know, take the Steelers, for example. Ben Roethlisberger would not be Ben Roethlisberger if he didn't have, you know, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, you know, even back in the day, Hines Ward, you know what I mean? Emmanuel Sanders, Santonio Holmes. I mean, you know, Heath Miller, like all these guys. And plus, not to mention, Big Ben has probably had one of the best offensive lines his whole career.
Yeah, the Steelers just know how to draft receivers. That's why I'm never worried when we lose receivers because it's just the next man up. Juju's I could honestly see him just being our next All-Pro.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, he's going to have 120 catches next year. And I think you're right, it is drafting, but I think it's more developing than drafting because definitely. I mean, if you look at, you know, Santonio Holmes was I'm pretty sure Santonio Holmes was a first round pick, but Emmanuel Sanders wasn't. You know, and then Antonio Brown was undrafted. Yeah, you know, and
Juju was like what?
Juju was like a second round,
third round.
I think he was second round. But either way, dude, like these aren't, you know, top 10 players, you know what I mean? Like, and they're still balling out, getting 1,500 yards, 100 plus catches, you know? So I just think that it's development, you know what I mean? And that's something with every franchise that they need to figure out. It's like not every top 10 pick is going to pan out, and not every, you know, first round pick is going to pan out. I mean, it's all about how you develop players. You know, just look at the Saints. The Saints have Alvin Kamara. Where was he drafted? Third round. Like, you know, the Broncos, Phillip Lindsay. Where was he drafted? Undrafted. I mean,
Tom Brady.
You can go down the list. Oh, Tom Brady, 6th round pick. You can go down the list, dude, of just player after player, you know, making Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl. And it's because they were developed by their team. It's not that they came in and, you know, I mean, some guys are going to be like Saquon Barkley and come in and just destroy from the very second that they come into the league. But that's very rare. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's going to be like that. So I think that I think Kyler Murray going number one, it's very likely. It's very likely. It's just not the decision that I would make because
I'd really like.
I'm just more in favor of developing.
Also,
than just drafting the best player available.
If they do pick Kyler Murray, I'd really like to see Rosen go to a team like the Giants because I could just see him working in that system. But if he does go to the Giants, the Giants definitely need to work on their offensive line because it's just going to be the same scenario. He's just going to be getting
same thing
crushed around all the time, and he won't be able to do anything because his offensive line sucks.
So who do you think is going to be the most impactful player right off the bat in this draft?
That's a tough one because there's so many good guys. I definitely think the best position in the draft this year is the edge and the D lineman. There's just so many good guys there. Honestly, if Kyler Murray goes to the Cardinals, I don't think he'll be the most impactful. I really do like Nick Bosa. I think he's going to be a beast right off the bat. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you that the D line and edge is they're just stacked in this draft. I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong. If you have a top 5 pick, you're pretty much guaranteed a Pro Bowler, in my opinion. So yeah, I think Nick Bosa is going to be a great player. Joey Bosa is obviously phenomenal. It's just that if he can stay healthy, I don't really know what the deal is with his abdomen. He has like a muscle strain or something like that. But I think the most impactful player is going to be Quinnen Williams from Alabama. He's a defensive tackle. Dude looks like a monster. He's 255 and he runs a 4.53 40. Like, that is absurd.
That's
4.53 at 255. Like, that. Do you know how fast you have to be to move that much weight around?
Surprised not an edge rusher.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, he is like Aaron Donald, like, on steroids. But yeah, I mean, he had a great combine. He just freaking destroyed the bench press reps. He, killed the 40. He's just an athletic freak.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what you need at defensive tackle. You know what I mean? And I think that's the new era of defensive tackles. We're seeing like Fletcher Cox and Aaron Donald and all these guys. It's, these guys are freaking athletic monsters that are huge that just, get to the passer. It's like you're getting a pass rusher, but from the middle. You know what I mean? It's crazy how some of these hybrid players are coming around. So we went from most impactful. So who do you think is most likely to be a Hall of Famer out of this draft?
Oh my gosh, that's like that's like such a down the road question. Because I feel like you have to watch a player at least a couple years in the NFL to really tell if he could be a potential Hall of Famer or not. Honestly, I don't.
Right.
I'm not even sure I can answer that question. But if I were just to pick someone, it'd probably be. I'll probably just say Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Quinnen Williams or Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Either one of those guys, I think. I mean, Nick Bosa definitely has the NFL blood in his family. I mean, I think his dad was a NFL player, right? And his uncle, and they were all first round picks. I think him, his brother, his dad, and his uncle, or something like that. But I mean, he definitely has the potential to get there. It's just that if he can stay healthy, you know what I mean? Same thing with Quinnen Williams. But the big thing here is health, So most overhyped. Who do you think is the most overhyped player in this draft? There's a lot of hype surrounding a couple players, but who do you think is the most overhyped?
Let's see. So it's definitely not going to be someone from. I think it's going to be an offensive player just honestly, I feel like there's much more better defensive players in this draft than offensive. If I were to go with most overhyped, it'd probably have to be Kyler Murray, just because if he gets picked to the Cardinals, if he can get picked to
Right.
another team, I could see him doing better. But I really feel like the Cardinals are going to pick him, and I don't feel like he's going to do great there. At least in the first
In
year,
the short term.
if the Cardinals can, um, and if they can make their team better, then I could see him doing better
Right.
as well. But I just feel like Murray's the most overhyped for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I think, to me, it's a tie between. Well, it's not a tie actually. I'm trying to be devil's advocate here. In all reality, it's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's he's the most overhyped player. I mean, this dude is just he went from being like maybe a second round pick to the first round pick in a matter of days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like crazy how much hype surrounded this guy. And, everybody was watching him at the combine. Everybody's watching his pro day. And, maybe it's because it's the quarterback position, or maybe it's because we just want, the next best quarterback because we just had a great quarterback class last year, or, whatever. But I see Kyler Murray as somebody that's going to be really good in the NFL. And I just really, really don't want him to go to Arizona.
Yeah.
And it's not a good situation for him. He can make it a good situation. Not saying that he can't, but it's not a good situation right now to start off.
This is why
in
the draft I would not shoot for wanting to be the first pick, because the first pick is always a horrible team. So why do you?
Yeah.
I understand there's you're getting paid a lot and stuff, but in the end, if you do better on a good team, you're probably going to be getting paid more in the long run.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because just look at all the Patriots players that got paid from other teams.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like freaking Trent Brown, dude. Trent Brown was the highest paid offensive tackle ever this season. He went to the Raiders. He got paid by the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, what? Who even knew who Trent Brown was at the beginning of the season?
Seriously.
Nobody. And it's just because the Patriots won the Super Bowl, whatever. But same thing with Trey Flowers. Trey Flowers, I mean, don't get me wrong. Trey Flowers deserved every penny that he got. He's a great player. But he got like $90 million from the Lions. 2 years ago, Akeem Hicks got like $80 million from the Bears. So it's just like, I mean, players that win, I agree with that philosophy. If you go to a good team and win, you're going to get recognized.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Because other teams are going to be like, okay, I need that winner. I need that guy who knows how to win. I need him on my team to change the culture in my locker room,
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we got our mock drafts prepared. We're going to mock the top 10 of the draft, the NFL draft that's coming up on April 24th. So, Logan, what is your top 10 for the NFL draft?
Okay, so I already gave my first one, of course, Kyler Murray. I already gave my insight on that. 49ers got the second pick, and I got to go with Nick Bosa. I believe he's one of the best edge players in the draft, and the 49ers really need some defense, and I think he'd be a great addition. If 49ers could really up their defense, it'd be good. And if Garoppolo can stay healthy, then I think the 49ers could be a decent team. The Jets, I think they like defensive linemen, if I'm not wrong. And Quinnen Williams is probably the best defensive tackle here in the draft. So I think they're going to go with him. They need some defense as well. Honestly, I have a lot of defense in this top 10. So if you're not in the top 10 and you need some defense, then it's going to be tough, because a lot of these good players are going to be taken. For the next pick, who has the next pick? The
Raiders.
4th pick, the Raiders. I've got Josh Allen. They need edge rushers too. He's from Kentucky, tall, fast, elite player, best player on Kentucky in my opinion. I just think he's gonna be a beast, and hopefully they can just replace what's his name? I forgot who I was gonna say, but I think Josh Allen's gonna be a good pick for them. The Buccaneers are next. They're going to be taking one of my favorite DBs, Byron Murphy. That's just who I believe they're going to take. They need some DBs. That's definitely one of the needs they need. The next pick, I got Dwayne Haskins, who's the quarterback for Ohio State, going to the Giants. Honestly, I just feel like the Giants are ready to move on from Eli Manning. Maybe not this year, but I don't know. We'll see how well Dwayne Haskins can perform. Maybe they want to work on him a year or two or more, maybe. I don't know. But I just believe they're going to be picking Haskins and try to move on from Eli because he's been getting them nowhere the past few years. Next, I've got the Jaguars. Um, okay, that's odd. I Oh yeah. So I thought I put Josh Allen twice, but there is two Josh Allens. This Josh Allen is from Missouri. He's an edge rusher, and that's who I got for the Jaguars. They need an edge rusher as well. For the Lions, I've got Greedy Williams. He's another great DB from LSU. The Lions did pretty well in free agency for offense, so I think they're going to try to be going more defense on the draft. They do need DBs, so I picked Greedy Williams for them. Next pick for the Bills, I've got Ed Oliver. He's a great D lineman from Houston, very big, very powerful, and I like him at the Bills. I think he's going to be good with them. Lastly, Broncos need a quarterback. There's not really a lot of great quarterbacks, in my opinion, in this draft. But I think since Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins will be taken, they're going to go with Drew Lock from Missouri.
I like it. I like the top 10 picks. Very quarterback heavy. I see now. I'm more of a defensive guy. You know what I mean? Like I just love the defensive players. I love all the positions of defense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they're all great. You know. So my top 10. This is how it shakes out. Obviously, Kyler Murray going number 1 to the Cardinals. You know, I mean, it's not the pick that I would make, but it's the pick that I think they're gonna make. Just because, I mean, everybody's saying it, you know, and it just seems so real. I mean, and why hire Cliff Kingsbury if you're not going to go with a new quarterback? You know what I mean? So yeah. I think Kyler Murray's going there. Second, 49ers, I got the same as you, Nick Bosa. I mean, in my opinion, he's the next best player in the draft, you know, just an absolute beast, just like his brother. He's going to be an impact player right from the start, you know, if he's healthy. And 49ers could definitely use some help off the edge. Jets, I got them taking Josh Allen from Kentucky. He is, like you said, tall, extremely fast edge rusher, lanky, you know, super, super quick, and can get around a lot of offensive tackles really quickly. And that's going to be key in the Jets division because Tom Brady loves to get rid of that football. You know what I mean? So, and without Tom Brady's best offensive lineman, he just left this year for the Raiders. It'll be key if the Jets could get a edge rusher with that pick to get to Tom Brady. Got the Raiders taking Quinnen Williams with the 4th pick. It's hard for me to see Quinnen Williams slide that far just because I personally think Quinnen Williams is going to be the best player out of this draft. But, you know, he's going to dominate with the Raiders. The Raiders need all the help that they can get defensively. So, I mean, he's just going to be an impact player right from the start. The Buccaneers, I got the Buccaneers taking Dwayne Haskins here, actually, right before the Giants.
Okay.
I do not think that they are ready to go with Jameis anymore. I think that, you know, they're gonna try to bring in a quarterback
I
either this
disagree with
year
you.
or
I like
next year.
Jameis.
I like Jameis, but I just don't think that they like him. You know what I mean? Like I think that they've seen too much of messing up. Too much of being loose with the ball. You know what I mean? Too many turnovers. I just think that they're ready to move on. They're going to take Dwayne Haskins right there. Okay, so then I got the Giants pick. I got Devin White since Dwayne Haskins is off the board. Devin White, he's a linebacker from LSU, and I mean he's the best linebacker in this draft in my opinion. If you don't count Josh Allen, as a linebacker, but Devin White he's a monster. He can fly around the football field. I mean he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's very fast, covers a lot of ground. He's great in coverage, and he's a tackle machine. So he's a perfect new age linebacker that you need for the NFL. So next up is the Jaguars with the 7th pick. I got them taking Ed Oliver from Houston. Ed Oliver, he was last year. He was actually in the running for the number 1 overall pick, and this year he kind of took a nosedive because of a couple things that went down with his coach, and he didn't really produce as much as people thought that he was going to. But I still think that he's going to be a top 10 pick. And he's another one of those edge guys. And I mean, he's going to be an impact player right from the start. He can learn a whole lot from Calais Campbell, on the Jaguars, and that'll be great for them to get that defense back to where it was, 2 years ago. The Lions with the next pick, I got them taking Rashawn Gary from Michigan, another edge guy.
Honestly,
lots of edge guys. Rashawn Gary, he was a highly touted high school prospect 3 years ago, I think. He's a junior now, so that would be 3 years ago. And he was probably like the 2nd or 3rd best player in all of ESPN. And I mean, This dude is a athletic freak. Like he doesn't have that much production as all these other guys, but his spot is based solely on potential. Like his draft is based solely on potential. So I think that Rashawn Gary would be great to pair up with their newly acquired Trey Flowers. Their head coach, he's a prodigy of Bill Belichick, and he can easily develop, defensive ends, and that's why they got Trey Flowers. You know what I mean? Because the coach wanted him. He's like, hey, that's my old player. I need Trey Flowers. So I think that the Lions could spruce up their defense by taking Rashawn Gary. Now, Bills, I think they protect their quarterback here. They go with safe move. They take Jawan Taylor. Okay, Jawan Taylor. He's the number 1 offensive tackle in my opinion. He goes to Florida State. I mean, this dude is an absolute monster. Like he is 6'7", 280 pounds. Like
he actually goes to Florida, not Florida State.
Oh, Florida, my bad. But dude is a monster. Like dude is huge. And I mean, Josh Allen is like what, like 6'5", 6'6", So this dude needs a big offensive lineman to protect him. I think they get their protector right there. And then Broncos rounding out the top 10. I'm gonna go with I would say quarterback here, but they just got Joe Flacco, and I think they're gonna ride it out with him for 1 year. So I'm just gonna go with Devin Bush. Devin Bush is a linebacker from Michigan, the University of Michigan. Dude, Devin Bush is an absolute beast. He's, in my opinion, he's the next best linebacker to Devin White, and I mean, just like Devin White, this kid can fly all around the field, great in coverage. He had a couple of interceptions this season. He's not the best tackler in the world, but he's amazing in coverage, which is, I mean, in my opinion, a coverage linebacker is a lot better than just a tackle machine linebacker in today's NFL. So that rounds out our top 10s.
I would actually like to change one of my picks. I was thinking of Jawan Taylor, and the Jaguars just signed Nick Foles to like a huge contract, 4 years, $88 million. They probably want to protect him. And so I would move Jawan Taylor to the Jags pick instead of what I said. So that'll be my pick for the Jags.
And I could totally see that happening. Jawan Taylor, I mean, him and Jonah Williams are going to be the two best offensive linemen out of this draft, I think. And, they're both beasts, both offensive tackles. So, yeah, that's about it. All right. So that was a good tailgate talk, Logan. Where can they find you at on your socials?
Okay, so my Instagram, you can find me at logant.harris. My Twitter is loganharris59_. And I also have a YouTube channel, shameless plug. It's called Product Prodigy. I do a bunch of like tech reviews and stuff on there. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out as well. And what about you, Brent?
My Twitter handle is SmoothTV with 3 O's. And my Instagram is Brant_22. I don't have a YouTube channel, but I wish I did. But go check out Product Prodigy. He's a cool guy. I know him. And yeah, that's about it. So next week, just going to give you guys a preview of next week's episode. We're going to be breaking down top 5 players at each position for the upcoming NFL draft. We'll also be breaking down some highlights of the first week of the NBA playoffs, and hopefully there's some more NFL news, some NFL drama with Antonio Brown, maybe.
Maybe.
And obviously, if there's any news like Magic Johnson retiring, stepping down, we'll give you guys that news as well. But yeah, this has been Tailgate Talk with Logan and Brent, signing off. See you guys next week.
See ya.